Attorney Brian Claypool. Brian, good to have you with us today as you watch what we've all been watching throughout the course of the afternoon here, because this case has really riveted the attention of so many in this nation. What's your takeaway from what you saw today so far?
Well, this is an unprecedented heavyweight boxing match between self-defense meeting vigilante killings. And right now, Martha, before closing arguments, the vigilante killings are winning. I mean, the prosecution has just had a disaster the last couple of days, Martha, starting with, if you recall, I think a day ago, one of the guys that was shot, Gage is his first name, and he testifies that he's pointing a gun at Rittenhouse. I mean, that testimony alone, Martha, might result in what's called a directed verdict at the end of this case, which means the judge can decide to throw out that charge. Then you've got Hernandez today coming in to testify. He doesn't have a bone to pick with anybody. And he says that Rosenbaum is the aggressor. He's lunging at Rittenhouse. And there's commentary about trying to, let's kill Rittenhouse and, go ahead and shoot me. I mean, this evidence clearly supports a self-defense argument. So I'm not sure what prosecutors were thinking when they brought these charges.
Yeah, a couple of things. With regard to what you were just discussing, the prosecuting attorney, Thomas Binger, was clearly trying to establish that Drew Hernandez, he was trying to erode his credibility, essentially, saying that you're giving us this through your own perspective, that this is your commentator. He went back and forth with him at one point because Hernandez called himself both a reporter at one point and a commentator at another point. How successful, if at all, do you think that Binger was in eroding Drew Hernandez, or do you think that Hernandez did a good job saying, look, I was there too, and I saw the same things that he's saying he saw?
Hernandez did a great job, and the prosecution did not do a great job in attacking credibility. Just for your viewers, that's really what you're trying to do in cross-exam. Yeah. You're trying to show some kind of bias, or you're trying to show that that you favor somebody else. But look, the video speaks for itself too, right, Martha? There's video of Rosenbaum chasing after Rittenhouse. So Hernandez is corroborating tangible video evidence. So I really think, Martha, when the prosecutor got up and said, hey, can we take a break?
Yeah.
That is a bad sign for prosecutors. If you believe in your cross-exam, you're salivating to get up there and start questioning that witness.
Yeah, it's like calling a timeout. So we're going to actually go back to the courtroom. Stand by with us, if you would, Brian, because sure. Mr. Black is taking the stand right now. John Black, he's a self-defense expert. Could be very interesting testimony. Let's listen in. Wrapping up here, obviously the biggest moment of this trial was the very emotional testimony and the decision to testify on his own behalf, Kyle Rittenhouse, yesterday. And Brian Claypool is with us again. And I also have Lawrence Jones on set, who we're going to speak with in a moment as well. Brian, your thoughts as they start to wrap this up, and what does it tell you that the defense is ready, getting close to being ready to rest this case?
Well, the last clip you played in court was a snoozer. I mean, can you say desperation? I mean, the prosecution should have been up there. I mean, seriously. I mean, talking about the clips, they did the same thing, by the way, with Drew Hernandez. Yeah. You had a cell phone and you had a body cam video. Jury doesn't want to hear about that. Prosecution should have been up there like, how far away was Rosenbaum from Rittenhouse when you shot? Did Rittenhouse, if he could, give a warning before he shot? Things like that. Because, Martha, police officers are required to give a warning before they shoot, if possible. That should have been discussed here. But look, at the end of the day, Rittenhouse testifying, you just said it, that's a game changer in this case. He was credible, he was poised, he didn't come off unsavory, and most important, he talked about what was in his mind, that he felt like he feared for his life, and the video evidence corroborates that. And also we've got verbal testimony in the courtroom that corroborates that. So I think at the end of the day, man, you're looking at possible acquittals on all three, maybe a hung jury on Rosenbaum. Not looking good for prosecution.
Okay. Brian, thank you very much. Brian Claypool. Lawrence Jones, of course, has been watching all of this. So the defense is not yet rested in this case. This is the Kyle Rittenhouse murder trial in Kenosha. The judge has said that he's going to consider letting the jury wait until Monday to start deliberating. We do expect closing arguments tomorrow. Let's listen in. Let's see where they are on all of this right now.
Sorry, I'm there. Thank you. So it says in bold, interpolation, right?
Yes.
And then next to that it says bicubic?
That's correct.
Okay, and what does that mean?
Means that the interpolation algorithm that was selected was bicubic.
Are there other interpolation methods that you could use?
There is, yes.
And what are some of those?
For example, nearest neighbor is one. Bicubic, bilinear.
All right, cubic bilinear. Brian Claypool is going to say, can you believe this is what they're doing right now? Brian, are you still there? And can you explain to everybody what's going on right now?
Yeah, sure. So oftentimes during trial, issues come up whether a witness has a basis to testify in a certain area. I think this is an expert witness, right? So what the judge will do is what's called voir dire. They send the jury away, and then you question the witness to see whether they have the basis to offer the testimony or whether the testimony needs to be excluded from going in front of the jury. So that's what they're doing now.
So someone has questioned whether or not this person has the legitimacy to be the expert witness that they claim to be, correct?
Exactly, right. Right. Because you have to have a basis as an expert to testify. If you don't, then it's inadmissible evidence.
I mean, it seems almost unbelievable that you would get to this point and you'd have to establish that. You would think that would have been established at pre-trial and going over the list of who the witnesses are and going before the judge and saying this is who we're going to bring forward, right?
I would not say
yeah, I mean, I think in closing argument, I mean, a defense counsel is going to attack and just say, hey, prosecution hasn't really, I mean, they put on a really weak case, and the defense counsel is going to portray Rittenhouse as a guy that cares about his country, was trying to go to protect people, and that these individuals who were tragically killed were the aggressors.
It obviously, you watch this, and as I said, depending on who's covering it, you're going to hear very different sides of this story, and clearly there's a jury of American citizens who are listening to all of this, and that's what it's going to come down to. These individuals who will get together in that room.
Yeah, that's an excellent, Martha, that's an excellent point. Because when I went off air for a few minutes, I was getting messages from people like, Rittenhouse is a punk. Why? He went down there to kill people, and he put himself in harm's way.
Right, absolutely.
But that's what you're talking about. It depends on your political...
Yeah.
Right, depends on your political desire, but that's not evidence. That's what everybody's clamoring, like he's a bad kid, he went with a gun. That's not evidence. What's evidence is, did he fear for his life reasonably at the time that he shot the gun? That's evidence.
Yeah, and the most important thing, I think, will come in the instructions from this judge to this jury about what they should remember and what they should leave outside of the jury room when they go in to deliberate. What matters are the facts in this case, and we're going to see how it plays out with closing arguments we expect tomorrow. Brian, thank you very much. Good to have you with us today as we watch that live shot of Kyle Rittenhouse in the courtroom that will decide his future. That is the story on this Thursday, Veterans Day. Remember those